Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be on this planet. I'm delighted to have this time with you for practice. Before we begin, I wanted to review a few things around your posture. Your posture can have a huge impact on your practice. Of course, there are many variations as to how you can practice. Some traditions will tell you exactly how to sit, but ultimately it's going to come down to what works for you. A few things to be aware of. If you are meditating on a cushion, you'll want to make sure that both knees are firmly against the ground, so you have kind of a tripod effect, so you feel really stable. If you find one knee's a little higher or doesn't quite touch the ground, you can bring a cushion or a blanket under that knee to balance you out a little bit. The main thing to keep in mind is having your hips a little higher than your knees is going to help you to keep your spine erect. If your hips are lower than your knees, you'll be leaning forward a little bit, which inevitably will create some kind of strain. If you're sitting in a chair, again, you want to make sure your hips are a little bit higher than your knees. And what you want to do is try to arrange your posture to kind of counter the inevitable slump. What happens is when you're sitting, you're going to lose kind of this core lift and you're going to come forward. Your head's going to drift forward. And then before you know it, you will find yourself drooling. So what I find is one of the best things that I can do is to take a cushion or a blanket and sort of jam it down to my lower back. So with a slight forward tilt of your pelvis, it'll help you to keep your spine aligned. You may find if you lean back in your chair, there's sort of short-term comfort, but sort of long-term pain sometimes. That what'll happen is when you lean back, your head comes forward, and inevitably you'll start building some tension up through your lower back. It's always a question of how to place your hands. And again, some traditions will say palms up, palms down, do this mudra, do that mudra, but you want to make sure what works for you. And one thing that I've noticed is that over long periods of time, the weight of my arms will sort of pull my shoulders forward a little bit. So one little adjustment you might play with is to take a blanket or a cushion and have it on your lap and place your hands on your lap. It might be able to help you to kind of get a little bit more of a lift through the sternum and have that sense of your sternum kind of floating above your navel. Another alternative is standing meditation. And please feel free if you find yourself encountering one of those weather systems of sleepiness and drowsiness to make a transition to standing. It can be a really wonderful way to sort of re-engage in your practice. The basic stance is sort of relaxed and aware. And finally, lying down meditation is illegal. If you do lying down meditation, it can be a beautiful way to practice. You can get into very, very subtle states of awareness, but it also creates an edge. You may find that lying down and closing your eyes is going to be this really deep invitation to fall asleep, which may or may not be a good thing depending on where you are in your practice and where you are in the week. So if you are doing lying down meditation, one suggestion is to have the back of one arm or maybe both arms on the floor, but bend to the elbow and lift your hand. So your arm will be supported, but you'll lift your hand up. And that way, if you fall asleep, catching your hand will help to kind of bring you back a little bit. It's important with your practice that you continue to experiment and evaluate. You want to be comfortable, but then you might notice after a set that maybe you were a little too comfy, and it kind of cultivated a sense of sloth and torpor. On the other hand, you might want to cultivate a posture of alertness, and you might find that maybe you're building in a little bit of unnecessary tension. So the whole idea here is not too tight and not too loose. Also, if you meditate with your eyes closed, eyes open, again, find out what works for you. This is all about finding a posture and an inner stance that has this beautiful balance between deep relaxation and alertness. And one thing I think I can promise this is no matter what posture you settle on, there may be some unpleasantness that's going to arise. It's a natural part of the practice. And in our meditation this morning, we're going to explore really bringing awareness into the body, resting in sensation. Sensation will show up as pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. And this can become a very interesting point of focus in your practice. So as you are ready, you can close your eyes. And you might like to begin just by taking a few long and slow deep breaths. And notice where you feel the breath the most predominant on the inside right now. And you might just sense your posture from the inside. Are there any little adjustments you might explore to help you to cultivate this sense of relaxation and alertness? I find there's one subtle awareness that can be helpful for me sometimes. And you might bring your attention right along the occipital ridge, right to the base of the skull. And just hold your attention here and just sense if it's possible to relax or soften along the base of the skull and down the back of the neck. And as you relax and soften, imagine a very gentle invitation to lengthen through the back of the neck. And you may sense the jaw drawn parallel to the floor. And this sense of taking the seat of the witness or the observer. And as you move into your meditation, you might explore this sense of receiving the moment directly through the senses. This receptivity can be sometimes dramatically enhanced by softening, by relaxing, and by receiving this sense of aliveness inside. And you might now bring your awareness to your forehead and feel or imagine your forehead smooth. And sensing all the little muscles around your eyes. What could soften? And as you sense the muscles of the face, is it possible to soften any micro expressions, any tension that may have built up in this day? And in particular, you might bring your awareness inside your mouth. Could you soften or relax your tongue in a way that it fills your lower jaw? Is it possible to soften and feel the root of the tongue and simultaneously sense the jaw? Is it possible to soften the jaw and feel the space between the upper teeth and the lower teeth just widen just a little bit? And can you feel from the inside the volume of your lips? And sensing now the back of the head and the base of the skull. the back of the neck and the tops of the shoulders. And you might feel or imagine your arms like heavy drapes hanging from the shoulders as you let your awareness flow down the arms, down through the elbows, and down through the wrists. And sensing the backs of the hands. Sensing from the inside the volume of the palms. The fingers and thumbs. And noting perhaps here, the more you soften, the more you may feel or sense here in the palms and fingers and thumbs. The subtlety of pulse or tingling or vibration, subtle energy. Perception of warmth or coolness. And sensing the space inside the throat. And sensing the delicate movement of the lungs as the body breathes. And sensing the diaphragm and rib cage. And again, noting the subtlety of the movement of the breath on the inside. The lower back and the buttocks. And sensing the belly. What could soften? And noting how intimately you can feel the movement of the breath down deep in the core. And sensing deeper down into the lower abdomen, and down through the floor of the pelvis. And can you feel the weight and the volume of your legs, and sensing from the hip joints down through the knees? The backs of the knees, the kneecaps. And down through the ankles. And the tops of the feet and the toes. And as if you could sense from the inside the soles of the feet and the heels. Is there anything right now that could soften or relax? And noting this exquisite inner space of deep relaxation, and at the same time, a quality of alertness. You might now open your awareness to an anchor, to a point of focus or concentration. And sensing what anchor you are drawn to for this practice. Perhaps the movement of the breath on the inside. You might elect to allow the awareness of the breath to be general, a sense of the whole body breathing, or tracking where you feel the breath the most predominant, or perhaps to narrow your focus to the sense of the breath at the rim of the nostrils or the septum, or perhaps the subtle movement of the breath down deep in the belly. Another alternative would be to use the sounds around you as your anchor, the experience of the sound vibrations as they're happening. And yet another alternative might be to let your awareness flood into the palms and fingers and thumbs, to soften and sense here, and allow this to be your anchor. Whatever anchor you choose, let this be your doorway to the here and now, knowing that we are not here to control the mind. But when you wake up and notice the mind lost in thought, to allow your anchor to be your ally, your doorway back to the direct experience of here and now. And when you hear the mid-meditation bell, it can be a signal to refresh your mindfulness and as well to deeply sense inside and to allow any movement to be as part of your practice. To sense how the body might like to move or shift and to track the sensations on the inside as you move and then again resettle. When you wake up lost in a thought form or lost in the narrative or commentary, take your time to re-arrive. Sense inside as to what might relax or soften. As you get more acquainted and familiar with the felt sense of the body, you may find that there are particular areas that can be helpful to visit. Perhaps to relax the tongue, the lips and jaw. To soften the belly. To sense from the inside the palms, fingers and thumbs. And the soles of the feet and the heels. And when you move into this exploration of cultivating awareness of your anchor, you might sense if it's possible to blend both deep relaxation with this quality of alertness and attention to the experience of your anchor on the inside. Relaxed, at the same time alert. As you re-arrive, as you relax and receive the moment directly through the senses. You may notice how you may enhance your awareness of what is happening as it's happening. As I breathe in, I'm aware of breathing in. As I breathe out, I'm aware of breathing out. As I feel sound vibrations, I'm aware of feeling sound vibrations. And you may notice as well a heightened awareness of your relationship to what is happening. The subtlety of moving toward or moving away. The more you relax and allow, the more you may become aware of the stream or the flow of sensations, phenomena, thoughts and feelings and states. And you may sense inside this play of feeling tone that arises, which is pleasant, that which is unpleasant, that which is in between. And you might sense as you continue to sense if you can drop any sense of good or bad. To relax, to receive the moment, noting what is happening, and noting the subtlety of how you are relating to what is happening. Relaxed and at the same time alert. In these remaining 5 minutes or so, you might refresh your practice. What could soften? Sensing the inside of the mouth, the volume of the lips, the volume of the tongue. And sensing the belly, the lower back and buttocks. Sensing from the inside the palms, fingers and thumbs. The soles of the feet and the heels. And sensing the anchor from the inside. And you might explore over the next 3 breaths, how intimately can you feel? Relaxed, at the same time alert. Noticing what is happening as it's happening. Noticing perhaps your relationship to what is happening. Exploring what it means to let things be just as they are. Thank you so much for your time and your attention, and many, many blessings to you in your practice. May this be a rich day of discovery. Enjoy.